Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. We are very excited to be joined left to right from by City of Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland, University of Memphis President Dr. Bill Hardgrave, and Memphis Vice President and Director of Intercollegiate Athletics Laird Veach. We'll go ahead with some opening remarks from Laird Veach, and then after that, we'll open it up for Q&A for any of the three gentlemen up here. So, Laird.
Lose my notes.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for being here. It's been a long day coming, but an exciting day, and appreciate your time. As Michael mentioned, I'm going to open it up with a statement and really a fairly thorough review of our process, and then we will take questions after. So, first of all, as stated earlier in our release today, over the past several months, we studied options for both a renovation to now Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium and a new football stadium with architecture firm Populous. After very deliberately analyzing both options with university and city government officials, we are excited to announce, in partnership with the City of Memphis, our plans to pursue a $150 to $200 million transformational renovation to Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. We started this process with a very specific set of goals in mind, and this project will hit them all. Most importantly, it will position us for any potential conference realignment opportunities in the near future, and it will cement our place in the highest level of college football. It will demonstrate a true commitment to sustainable competitive and recruiting success. It will provide a tremendous modern-day fan experience, and it secures positive long-term economic impacts for both the university and the city. In addition to the detailed study with the city that led to the renderings that you've seen, the university's process also included an in-depth study of what it would take to build a new on-campus stadium. Now, part of that process included an independent market study to determine our revenue generation capacity to fund a new stadium. It included naming rights, premium seating, philanthropic support, and all other potential revenue streams. The end result suggested that we could secure approximately $200 million to fund a new stadium. The study also identified multiple potential locations around campus, although all of them did present some site challenges, such as additional land acquisition required, etc. It estimated our optimal stadium capacity to range from 38 to 44,000, so we ended up utilizing Colorado State's Canvas Stadium as our optimal benchmark. We did that because it has very similar amenities to what we would want, a capacity of about 41,000, and it was completed in just 2017 for a price of approximately $238 million. Now, recalling that we could generate approximately $200 million in funding, due to the massive escalation in construction prices, that same stadium today, in today's dollars in the Memphis market, was estimated at approximately $400 million. And that does not include some expenses such as land acquisition needed or any additional parking in close proximity, and that could also add years to the project. So, while we absolutely recognize the appeal and benefits of an on-campus stadium, after consulting with university leadership and learning that we could truly accomplish our goals with the transformational renovation of Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, we're excited to partner with the city to pursue this vision. Again, most importantly, it will optimize our competitive position in the very rapidly evolving landscape of intercollegiate athletics. And it'll do so in a much more manageable and efficient time frame. Put simply, it's a much better value in both time and money. It also takes advantages of the existing stadium infrastructure, which we all know includes great sight lines, a great tailgate scene, and considerable on-site parking. And it furthers our partnership with the city. In addition to the multiple improvements made to the stadium in recent years, we're also very excited to complement the investments that are already underway at Liberty Park. From the beginning, we, and that includes the city and the university together, agreed that if we are going to invest in our current stadium, we need to do it right. So with that in mind, let me touch on a few elements of our vision. Hopefully everybody can see the screens in front of you. First of all, the primary focus of this project is a complete transformation of the west side of the stadium. So as you can see if I can do this right. That would include all the modern amenities that you would expect in a new stadium. First of all, if you look at it from bottom up, you can see a field level club, what we're calling founder suites, which would be a small number of high-end suites about 20, 30 feet off the field, club section, loge boxes, and of course additional suites. You can also see some other concepts that we have, including a student party deck there in the south end. I'm going to zip back real quick. One of the other really unique opportunities that we have at this stadium is the chance to really take advantage of all of the empty space in the halo surrounding the stadium. So one of the things I am most excited about is utilizing that space by extending the perimeter, the entrance perimeter to the outer perimeter, and then really activating that entire space. So you can see in this simple rendering right here, the thought of bring in a lot of trees, but the idea really is to create essentially a party in the halo. So you would have food trucks, tailgate tents, concert stages, etc. We also anticipate other seating amenities, such as the student seating that I mentioned in the south end, as well as potential family loge boxes in the north end, and a potential retrofit of the east suite tower if funding allows. Put simply, this renovation will dramatically change the way we look and the game day experience we can provide. So what's next? Our goal is to complete construction prior to the 2025 season. In order to accomplish that goal, we will need to begin construction following the 2023 season and remain in the stadium and continue through construction through the 24 season and be ready for 25. So backing up from there, over the next 12 to 18 months, we'll turn our attention to three things. One, working with the city to establish a funding plan consisting of public and private support. Two, completing the full design and bid process. And three, securing lead gift commitments to make it happen. In closing, this will be an investment in the university and the city of Memphis for generations to come. And to accomplish a project of this magnitude, we're going to need everybody that deeply cares about the city and the University of Memphis to come together to help make it happen. Together, we'll take this stadium from vision to reality. Thank you all.
Thank you, Laird. And as I mentioned, we'll go ahead with Q&A for any of the gentlemen up here as well. We have 2 microphones on either side. So if you would just raise your hand and someone will pass you the microphone and state your name and affiliation. And we'll start with Greg on the left there.
Yeah, hi, I'm Greg Gaston, Sports 56 Radio. Laird, you were talking about the possibility of future expansion and putting yourself in a position for that. As you have dealt with people and talked to people about that, what did they say about having a refurbished stadium or having a new stadium as being a focal point to be in line for that possibility of moving on?
Yeah. There has been multiple conversations over the last couple of years in that regard. And I will tell you from the beginning, I didn't necessarily sense that an on-campus stadium was critical, but I did sense that the commitment and the ability to have sustainable success demonstrated by a stadium like this is necessary. We need to look like we belong, and we believe this accomplishes that goal.
On the right, Sam.
Sam Hardiman, Commercial Appeal. Mayor, what are the potential public funding sources for this, and what percentage of the funding will the city make up?
I don't know the answer to either question. The university needed to decide which direction they wanted to go. They've done that. Now we'll work over the next few months on firming up those numbers between 150 and 200 and where that money will come from. We're going to partner on this, and I feel very confident that we will get there. I just don't know what path we'll take.
Staying on the right, Terry.
Hey, Veach, when is the start date on 23? Is it going to be immediately after the season, or are you going to wait till you get funding, or do you have a hard start date, or is it flexible?
The current plan is to start after that 23 season. Now, we will get into a detailed design and construction bid process after this, right? This is a master plan vision, and we need to flush all that kind of detail out with professionals that will help guide us. And when they do that, they'll help identify the exact time frame.
We'll go over to the left with Jeff and then Frank and Jason.
Two questions for Laird. Jeff Calkins from the Daily Memphian. What's the concourse? Like you walk into the concourse now, it's a little deficient. What's that? How is that going to be revived?
That is the plan, is to also elevate the concourse experience. So whether that's concessions, restrooms, et cetera, which is one of the things by extending that perimeter to the outer perimeter, or the entrance to the outer perimeter, it allows us to spread that out and do a lot that's really going to enhance the experience for all the fans.
And then the second is, in terms of believing that this makes you look like you belong. It's funny, in this community, a lot is PTSD. When the city didn't build a new stadium for the NFL, they believed that. Is there some foundation for your belief that it'll make you look like you belong, or is it just sizing it up and thinking it looks good? And that, like, what's the basis of that belief?
Well, first of all, let me be clear. There's no guarantees, right? We know that. It's not as if you build it and we're in. What it does do is it puts us in a position where we're truly competitive. And part of that is just by being around and seeing all those other facilities, right? We've all had the opportunity to see really all the Big 12 stadiums and other stadiums across the country, and this is the kind of stadium that looks like it belongs in that club, right? But we have to go through the process, and I can tell you that if we don't do something like this, then that definitely hurts our position.
And if I could follow up on that, back in the NFL drive, this is before me, but my understanding is Memphis was told, you're not going to get an NFL franchise unless you build a new stadium. They were told that. They chose not to do it. That's not been told here. Laird has said what his conversations have been, so I think that's a clear difference.
We'll go to Jeff, and then if you can pass it to Frank.
Do you have any lead gifts already? Have you made progress in terms of the funding of this yet, as of yet, or not?
I would say we've had some encouraging conversations, but nothing solidified yet. That's really the next part of the process, and we needed to sort of clear the deck, so to speak, and have a really clear vision of where we're headed. And this provides an opportunity to go out, and I think it's something that people will really buy into and understand that it's going to be tremendously impactful.
Frank Bond, Daily Memphian. When you have a renovation this massive, what's the conversations like in terms of deciding what to change, how to change it, and just going through that entire process?
Well, I have had the fortune to do something similar at a couple of different stops along the way. So it is something I enjoy and have experienced. And it is time-consuming, detailed, and it requires a lot of input from a lot of people, right? So even getting to this point, just to have a vision like what you see in front of you, took a great deal of effort on the part of the city and us, and some really good architects. Populous did a great job guiding us through this point. Now it really gets into a lot of design meetings and with a lot of people, and it is important that the city and the university are aligned in what we're trying to accomplish.
We'll go in the back to Parker. Bridget, way in the back.
Hey guys, Parker King, Action News 5. For the mayor, outside of football, how can a revamped Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium be appealing for Memphis and, say, the music industry for nationwide concert tours and things like that?
That's a good point. The current configuration of the stadium is out of sync with current concerts. If you're my age, you remember when the rock bands would come and they'd set up on the field. That can't happen now. So part of this renovation is opening up the north side of the stadium so we can stage a concert now. So that's a really good point. This allows that to happen.
We'll go over to Greg again on the left.
It's for Dr. Hargrave. You come from a major player in athletics. So I'd like to get your take on coming here. You haven't been here a long time, what your observation was, and now with this vision, where you think you can go here as the president of Memphis.
You know, to be a major university in today's environment, you have to provide the overall student experience. That's athletics, that's academics, it's research, all of that. And I think the university has advanced significantly over the past several years. Our recent R1 classification is a testament to where we've improved on that side. And just like we would do on the academic side, we have to have great students and great faculty and great facilities. To be a major player in athletics, we have to have great athletes, great coaches, and great facilities. And when we look at that portfolio, the one thing that was missing was truly a world-class football stadium. And so absolutely 100% behind this. I think it's needed. It will position us to be among the best in the country.
On here in the right, second row.
Steve McLeod, Memphis Business Journal. In the FAQ, it mentions that y'all are exploring opportunities to changing how the stadium is managed. What are some possible options that would be explored related to the changes to how the stadium is operated by the city and the university?
It's probably too early to even say that. We've been focused more on this. I've had, in my almost 6.5 years as mayor, I've talked to university presidents and athletic directors about management, ownership, and I think there's nothing firm yet, and there's not even a timeline to make that decision. I think we're going to focus. My focus more is raising money here.
And if you don't mind, I'll add to that too. First of all, I do think we all recognize that if we're going to invest these kind of dollars, that we need to provide an even higher level of fan experience, and that includes the type of service that we provide, maintenance, et cetera. And I also just want to recognize, appreciate the mayor and the conversations we've had at this point. We've had some really good conversations about just partnering in this the right way and getting this to the point where it's really the best for everybody.
Staying on the right with Jason.
Jason Munn's Commercial Appeal. I'm interested, for lack of a better, I guess, phrase, in the play-by-play of this. Like, was this something that, was this delayed in any way by the pandemic? I'm just kind of interested in how the process began, when the conversations really, like what, and what, if anything, how did you guys get pushed to the point of, okay, we're doing this?
Yeah. If you don't mind, you want me to take that one? Sure. First of all, I would say it'd probably be hard to say that anything didn't get pushed back by the pandemic, right? That was the reality for all of us. What really pushed it forward was this past summer when the conference realignment discussions really elevated. We recognized we need to go all in. We need to invest, and we need to make this happen. What we didn't have at that point, candidly, is a real clear vision of what it would take and how we could get there. So we entered into that process quickly, shortly thereafter, and it was a very thorough process, right? We had to go through several meetings with architects, but also get input from several leaders in our world and make sure we were aligned in the direction.
Over here on the right, back, Bridget.
Kayla Solomon, Fox 13. I know there's input from the university, there's input from the city as a whole, but has there been any input from, the immediate community surrounding Liberty Stadium, and what has that feedback been?
Well, for the development of Liberty Park, there's been a lot of interaction with the neighborhood, and we've had town hall meetings out there. They're really excited about the youth sports complex that's coming out of the ground right now and will be completed in November. That's been, in my interaction, the focal point of the excitement, because that is going to bring tournaments all across this region, youth sports tournaments. But those are generally Friday through Sunday, maybe Thursday through Sunday. But on Monday nights and Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays, Memphians are going to take part in that. We're going to have organized league, organized programs in there. And that building's going to be used 7 days a week. And the kids in that area deserve a nice facility. And they're excited about it.
On the right, Terry.
Terry Davis, Tri-State Defender. As a bean counter, I know you have a vision of how you want to fund it, but can you give us a baseline of how you want to fund it? State funding, bonds, contributions by donors. Baseline. I know it won't stay that way, and I know you could probably do it 100% bonds, but I know you don't want to do it that way. So baseline, how you want to fund it.
It really is too early to say. This is the first step, and we had to outline this vision and come together on it. And then, as the mayor indicated, we'll go through that process next. The key is looking at all options and really getting everything on the table, because there are multiple ways you can attack a project like this. So we'll work with them, and we'll find the best path.
Back to Greg.
First part of this is for Laird, and then Mayor, if you wouldn't mind commenting. The capacity of the stadium, how is that affected? And then what about input from the AutoZone Liberty Bowl and the Southern Heritage Classic as far as this design?
So from a capacity standpoint, as I indicated, this is a master plan vision, right? So the exact specific capacity will be determined as we go through that next step in the process, where you get into real detailed design and construction. But the current vision projects over 50,000, so a low 50s based on the plan that you see in front of you now. And then again, we'll flush out the exact number as we go through the process.
And with respect to the other two tenants, they're very valuable to us, and they did meet with the architects, I think in December, January sometime, and gave input, and some of their input seen in these results, and we'll maintain contact with them, and their input will be welcome as we build this out.
Bill Dries with the Daily Memphian. Is there any anticipation by the university of some share of state funding for this, and have you begun conversations with the state about that?
I think it's too early to say that. So let us get our finances together and before we can comment on that.
Well, as indicated, we're going to partner with the city on anything we do, and including the funding plan. So it truly is early to have those kind of conversations. I will tell you this, though. As we were being advised through the process, one of the things that became clear is that whatever we do, we need to be unified as a city and a university, right? So I think that's an important step and an important consideration in the process.
Oh, back to Sam on the right. Yep.
Yeah, one more question, and I expect I know the answer, but the stadium literally just got a new name, and that naming rights deal includes cash. Have there been conversations with Simmons about further opportunities, as well as using some of the upfront revenue there to pay for the stadium?
I think there have been conversations about other opportunities with the university, I think. With respect to their deal, we will talk with them as we put together this $150 to $200 million and how the naming rights fits into that.
Jeff.
Two questions for Laird. Is the low 50s a little, I mean, it's higher than most of your sort of other universities of your ilk. Is that a little higher than ideal? Is that a compromise with the Liberty Bowl folks and the Southern Heritage Classic folks, or is it dictated by the stadium size?
You know, you can look at it in a lot of ways. I would say that from an athletic department university standpoint, we aren't set on 50,000, but I would say we're not necessarily set on 40,000 either. It really comes down to what kind of experience you can provide, right? And the thing that excites me is we have a footprint to be able to get creative. You have a chance to, in the same structure, add family boxes or party decks for the students and other things that because we have some room to work with, we can get creative. And in the end, there's another way to look at that, right? If we're going to continue to try to elevate, and we are able to elevate in the future, there's a chance that we may want growth. So it kind of cuts both ways.
And then in terms of the conversations last summer that you had around when conference realignment was an issue, like what is that? Are people just bluntly saying, Laird, come on, you got to do something? Like what did that look like? What were people telling you? And I suspect you had no illusions about what was required at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, there were a lot of conversations, and it was never a blunt conversation that, hey, you need to build a new stadium. That necessarily doing that, like I said, is gonna get you in, so to speak. But it was clear that the one of the questions was how committed are we, and is our success sustainable, right? So if you're looking at Memphis football, we've had significant success in the last, several years. But prior to that, we had not. So we need to demonstrate that we care about football and that we are willing to invest and do what it takes to compete at that level. Because candidly, football in many ways, it drives that decision, right, for other conferences.
Any other questions here today? Okay, I don't think I see any. Oh, back to Greg.
I wanted to wait until the end to bring this up for the mayor. You have a beautiful Liberty Park being constructed. You have this vision for the stadium. There's a lot of great things. You have an eyesore with the Mid-South Coliseum. Is there any talk about what to do in the future with this spaceship that's just sitting out there?
Not really. We agreed when we went on this journey on Liberty Park, we agreed with the folks who wanted to maintain it, keep it up, and hopefully somebody will come up with a great idea. I'm not saying Billy Orgel, but Billy Orgel did incredible things with the Tennessee Brewery and the Snuff District, things that people would never envision. So then maybe there's somebody out there who can envision something at the Coliseum. That person hasn't shown up yet, and I doubt that person will show up. It does cost money also to tear that thing down. So there's no immediate plans to renovate it, and there's no immediate plans to tear it down.
Okay, well, thank you, gentlemen, very much. Thank you all for being here today. We appreciate it. Have a good afternoon.